my talk tonight's really different, and y'all have to bear with me because this is a new talk for me, and I'm going to tell you, I decided that because it was kind of around the holiday time that I was going to tell a story. First off, this is me. I'm Sheri Graner Ray. Make this work. I'm currently heading up one of the indies that everybody's been talking about in a little studio here in town called the Zombie Cat Studios. In fact, we have some zombies here tonight. My zombies are here. I've been in the game industry since 1989. I've worked on a whole bunch of different topics. I most recently was working with Shell Games when they had a studio here in the Austin area. I was the studio design director for Shell. I'm the author of Gender Inclusive Game Design, Expanding the Market. I'm the founder of Women in Games International, served as executive director for that organization for 7 years. I'm a hardcore gamer, and when I'm not playing computer games, I'm playing paper games. So that's me in a nutshell. So like I said, I decided that I was going to tell a story, and because this is the holidays, and we always tell nice stories at the holidays. So once upon a time, there was a young girl, and she lived in a very wonderful, magical place. Well, okay, maybe not exactly, because I'm from McAllen, Texas. And if you don't know where McAllen is, it's way down there at the very bottom. But it was kind of a fun place to grow up. It was a very, very small area, and I grew up on a cattle ranch. We had 1,000 acres, 500 acres of it was cattle, another 500 acres of it was ruby red grapefruit. So this is where I grew up, and what I was doing, and everything was wonderful, until the Christmas of 1983. Christmas of 1983, y'all probably don't remember, but it was one of the coldest Christmases we've had in Texas. There's only been one as cold, and that was in 1989. But in 1983, it froze our groves. It also killed some of our cattle, so it was a very bad Christmas for us, and we lost a whole bunch of stuff. So you can see everything was very cold that year. And killed all of our trees, ruined the crop that year. It was just really bad. So my dad decided that he'd had enough of the cattle and the grapefruit and the weather and all the badness, and so he decided that he was going to get rid of the ranch and get rid of everything and invest in an airline. And this is an Emerald Airline. It was an airline based here out of Austin, Texas. But the problem with that was it meant he had to move the entire family to Austin. So he moved all of us, lock, stock, and dog kibble, he moved us up here to Austin, Texas. Now, I actually thought this was kind of cool as we went from McAllen to Austin. This was kind of a cool thing because I'd never lived in a bigger city like this. McAllen was only 28,000 people, counting everything and everybody around it. Only had one high school. So I thought this was kind of cool. The coolest thing about this was I could play Dungeons & Dragons, because Dungeons & Dragons really didn't exist in the Rio Grande Valley. I actually had to take an ad out in my college. My first year of college was down there at Pan American. I actually took an ad out in the college newspaper asking for somebody to teach me to play Dungeons & Dragons, because I couldn't find anybody. So when I came up here to Austin, I was so excited. I actually found people to play Dungeons & Dragons with, and so I put together the first of my regular weekly gaming groups, and we played together for a number of years, and we were very excited because we suddenly heard that there was going to be a conference in town. This was called the Phoenix Conference. No, that's not actually a picture from Phoenix Con, because nobody remembers Phoenix Con. It was a tiny little conference held over in a Motel 6 over on I-35. But we were very excited about it because they were going to have some competitions. We were actually going to get to play Dungeons & Dragons with a whole bunch of other people, and this was going to be lots of fun. Well, one of the guys in my group heard that the night before the conference started, there was going to be a Starfleet Battles tournament. And any of you in here played Starfleet Battles? Know what Starfleet Battles is? Okay, I've got one. Starfleet Battles and two maybe. Okay, it's like the geek of the geekiest games. It's all charts and tables, and you're flying the ship around. One of my gamers in the group said that he had played it quite a bit in high school, and he thought that he would go down and join the tournament and play in this tournament. His name was Wayne, and he went down to play in a Starfleet Battles tournament. And he was very excited. So he showed up there, he entered the first round, and he got beat so badly that he retreated to the hotel bar, where he drowned his sorrows and hid in embarrassment for how badly he was beaten. Well, while he was there, he ran into a fellow by the name of Andrew Morris, who they hit it off. They got talking, and they hit it off, and Andrew was lamenting the fact that he didn't have a D&D group to play with. And so they recommended, so Wayne and he hit it off, said, why don't you come join our game and come and play in our game for a while? So that's It's my gaming group. So we decided that we would let him in. He came in, he started to play. It was really great. We went for about 3 months, and he said, you know, Sheri, this is really great. You rock. You run all your own games. You write all your own stuff. You know, I'm working for a company that has an opening for somebody just like you, somebody who knows how to run these games and somebody who can write these games. He says, and I work for a little company called Origin Systems. Would you be interested in applying? And so I did, and I put in my application. And a week later, I had an interview with Warren Spector, and 2 weeks after that, I started at Origin Systems. And that's me in the picture. You can see, tiny, but that's me. And so yes, I started at Origin Systems. It was great fun. I was having a great time. After about a year there, I was down sitting in Andrew Morris's office, and I stepped out into the hallway, and here came a fella down the hallway at me, and I stepped back into Andrew's office, and I said, who's that? And he said, well, that's the new guy. I said, but who is it? He goes, well, that's Tim Ray. And I said, oh. And Andrew said, you know, I think you're going to like him. And, well, yeah, I did kind of like him. And that's us at the Origin Christmas party that year. And, well, the rest is kind of history. We were married 17 years ago. And so I met him there in the hallway. And I still can picture in my head him walking down the hallway toward me at Origin Systems. And so they lived happily ever after, right? And so this is the point in the story where the credits all roll. No. Now we have the rest of the story. So Tim and I had been together I think we'd been together for about 2 years. I think we were living in Albuquerque, New Mexico at the time. And we were chatting one day, and we were talking about, I don't know how we got on the subject, but people who owed us money. And I laughed, and I said that one of the things, somebody that owed me money was the person who had run the Phoenix Con, because what he had done is he asked people to paint miniatures for the conference, and then he would pay us. And I said, I painted probably a dozen miniatures for him for his conference, and I never got paid. And he said, well, that's really funny. Tim said, you know, because I was at Phoenix Con. And I said, really? I said, I didn't know that you'd been to that Phoenix Con. He goes, oh, yeah, I was there. I said, oh, yeah. I said, well, you know that's why I started at Origin, was because of a guy that we met at Phoenix Con. I started to relate the story. He got a real funny look on his face, and he said, Wayne? And I said, yeah. He said, you know, I felt really bad beating him that bad. So it all comes around full circle because he beat Wayne and set Wayne running to the bar in horror and sorrow, who met Andrew, who came to my D&D game, who got my resume into Warren Spector, who hired me at Origin Systems, who caused me to be in the hallway when he was walking down the hallway towards me that day. That's why I met him, and that's how I got to meet my husband. So what does this all have to do with Austin, being in Austin? Well, obviously, Austin is where I came to meet my husband at a gaming company. My entire family is here, and my brothers also came up, and they stayed here, and their wives and their kids, so my entire family is here. But also my gaming family is here. The game industry, as I have been told to by people who come to our conferences and things, more so than any other industry, we hug. Our industry hugs more than any other industry out there. Our industry uses Facebook rather than LinkedIn. We use Twitter for social networking because we're a family. Just as much as my blood family, my gaming family is my family. And because I can do what I love, because I could come up here and I could find some people to play Dungeons & Dragons with, so much so that it eventually got me into the computer game industries where I could be in an industry that I love, that I originally thought was a lark, and now 24 years later, I still know that as just every day, it's the most exciting, wonderful career I could possibly have. So that's why Austin, is because it's the magical place where all these things could come together and be a place for us to live and love and have families and be able to pursue the dreams that make us the most happy. So it's happily ever after in Austin.